Hey, welcome back to another Miami stand-up comedy talk show. We really haven't even come up with a name yet, and we're figuring it out as we go along. Miami Community Newspapers, thanks for checking in. If you guys are watching us on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and give us any kind of comments, information throughout the show. We want your feedback as it makes the show a lot better. Don't forget that Miami Stand-Up Comedy, we're more than stand-up comedy. We're a part of the community. And all month long for the month of March, we raised over $1,000 in donations for the Lotus House Women's Shelter. So thank you to everyone that showed up to the show, especially Belinda. We're going to talk about her a little bit during the show, but she came to 2 different shows with entire bags full of clothes. And she saw it on social media. And one show, she didn't even stay. The other show, she came back, we got her drinks, but she ordered Crown Royal, which I thought was a little expensive, but we paid for it because we love Belinda and we love the fact that she cares so much about the community. Today's show, we're going to be talking about venues of the week. We're going to talk with a special guest, which I'm going to introduce in a second, but don't forget, like and subscribe and help us reach to be one of the top shows on the Miami Community Newspapers, and we'll see you guys at one of our live shows. Now, to introduce our first guest, she is a comedian, an actress, a producer. She's from New York, Miami. She's all over the place. She lives everywhere. I think she was born in Miami. Then she moved to New York. Now she's back in here living in Kendall, a.k.a. the suburbs of Mexico. Please give it up for the one and only Brittany Brave.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I said the Mexico thing because when we had your show at the Vassal Wine Bar, which is bi-weekly, right?
Yes,
or is it
bi-weekly and in Kendall. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember driving down Kendall Drive. I hadn't driven down Kendall Drive. I couldn't know how long. I feel like I'm going to end up in Cancun. Like I'm just driving and driving and driving.
It just keeps going. It's either the Everglades or Cancun or something.
But how are you doing? Tell the Miami Community Newspaper community a little about yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
well,
yours.
Don't mind if I do. Do you know what you just did? You just told a stand-up comedian, as you know, to just talk about themselves. It's like, wow, okay. We'll be running the hour this morning. No. Hi, guys. I am comedian Brittany Brave. You got most of that's my camera. There's my camera. There she is. You got most of my info right. These days, I don't really know where I am, but I grew up in Miami. I was born in New Jersey. I lived in New York. I lived in Miami. I did the back and forth thing. The pandemic squashed my industry and boom, now I'm in Miami full time. I'm back to being a Miamian. Full circle. And yeah, I'm a comedian, actress, producer, pain in the ass, complete ham. Not Jewish, but I can be if somebody needs me.
Italian, very close.
Very Italian.
We're cousins.
Yes.
We're cousins.
We are. Yeah. They do. Listen, the Jewish and Italian, let's go over the similarities.
Yep.
A lot of guilt. Often coming from the mother or the matriarch of the family. Yeah. I will say we both throw bitchin' parties, very good parties.
A lot of drinking.
Our weddings are very fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dancing.
We don't shut up.
That's true.
Aaron and I are always bop, 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 bop. And you know what? We also have an affinity for the arts. I think that Italians and Jews make good art. How about that?
They do make good art.
Yeah.
They do make good art. Speaking of art, let's go into what's been going on in the city of Miami. So going to New York, coming back to Miami, Miami being open. What do you think of the comedy scene, so far in this early 2021 in Miami? You just recently came back from New York. I don't even know how you slept. You were all over the city. You were bouncing around from show to show to show to show to show to show to show.
Yeah.
What's going on? Do you think the similarities or differences between our 2 geographical locations?
Yeah, I am. No, and you're very right. I'm not sleeping. I'm taking a nap with my eyes open right now. I'm very tired still. It's really interesting. I think that the Miami comedy scene is in an incredible place right now. I can't really speak to what it was in years past, as I've done the majority of my stand-up, at least in New York City. But I can speak to the shifts in the New York City comedy scene, which is, as of today, April 2nd, the clubs are back open. Live entertainment is no longer super illegal. At least live comedy isn't. I'm pretty sure Governor Cuomo in New York I'm pretty sure he dated a comedian.
Yes.
Because he has, music was allowed, poetry was allowed, everything was allowed except for comedy and exotic dancing. Those are the 2 things that he specifically outlawed. And I was like, this man got his heart broken by a stripper comic many, many years ago. She talked about his parts on stage not favorably, and now he's taking it out on me, Cuomo. Whatever. He's in deep crap right now anyway. So he's just, do you see what he's doing?
Yeah.
He's like legalizing weed and lifting curfews in New York. And I'm like, he's just like a deadbeat dad who knows he needs to win the family back.
You know how they say that marijuana kills brain cells and gets people to forget? He's like, just get high and don't worry about anything.
That's what he's hoping will happen. He's like, okay, forget it. Lift the curfews, get high, get drunk, go to comedy shows, forget all of my misgrievances.
And it's gonna work.
And it is gonna work because New York's just, don't take a rooftop bar and a comedy show away from New York. They will be very mad if they don't have those
think the rooftop show should stay.
Oh, I do too. New York has an incredible independent outdoor scene right now that I think is really going to rival the clubs. Shots fired. I said it. I'm happy to have the clubs back open, but I think that we created a monster lane for ourselves.
Yeah.
So did Miami.
Yeah.
So did Miami.
So let's move into Miami. What do you see now with the city of Miami? Now, a lot of people who watch this, could be in the Chamber of Commerce, could be politicians, could be venue owners. Maybe somebody's looking to have a comedy show at their venue.
Should I have watched my mouth? I'm sorry.
No. Maybe they should.
That's right. Politicians are tuning in.
Yeah. But, what do you see with the Miami venues, with what we're doing or what people are doing? You know?
I love it. I think it's, at least from my short amount of experience of trying to do comedy here, like 2 years ago, just through brief visits and stuff, the scene has tripled. I think that now that you don't necessarily need to be tied to New York and LA, Miami is its own beast of a city. And we all know as touring comedians and artists that you grow when you go out of your comfort zone. You're always going to grow. Doing the road is hellish because you don't know how your material is going to hit in Ohio or Miami or Chicago or all these different cities. So I think that it's great that Miami is becoming a hub. We take that pressure away from New York and LA. And it's a completely different skill set down here. What I hope for Miami's comedy scene is a lot of the localized humor, because there was a lot of local stuff. I used to bomb on my first few shows here because I hadn't lived here in years. And I was like, I can't speak to like Brickell and Wynwood and the inside jokes about all these things. But I hope that maybe Miami now can go from really localizing their material to making it a little bit more general and national. And I think that also too, like, I hope that like New Yorkers and other comics from across the country come down here and learn what makes Miami tick too. Right. So then it's good for me because I have 2 homes. I'm like a divorced. I'm never, I always said my parents are happily married, but I was like, if they were divorced, that would be 2 Christmases, 2 homes.
My parents were divorced. I got both. I played them against each other like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. I was in and out. I was planting seeds. You know, I knew which one would let me do what. Divorced parents was definitely the step into like sales. 100%. It was just. Can I go to this party? Got to know from you. Let me try another client. See if I can get a yes.
Exactly. Well, you know what mom said. Well, you know what dad said. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. And the best is when they didn't like each other, and in the beginning they wouldn't talk to each other. So I didn't have to worry about like them, teaming up
getting back
me.
To them. Right. Oh, that's great. I'm an only child. So while they're together, my mom and dad always would tell me whenever my mom was mad at me, she would call out my negative traits and say, ugh, you get that from your father. But then my father would be like, you're so arrogant like your mother or whatever. And
again, another similarity with Italian and Jews.
I'm saying.
Another similarity.
One of them's yelling about Palm Sunday in one ear. The other one's yelling about Joe Biden and the other one. And I'm just in the middle like, Mungo, no, it's a lot. But I don't know where I was going with this, but I have 2 homes now in New York and Miami, so I'm very grateful. Yeah.
So do you think the Miami scene is definitely growing? So if you're a venue out there in the Coral Gables, you're in I think people will go as far south as maybe, Homestead. Yeah. I know that, I've never done a show down there, but if you're a venue and you're looking for comedy shows, there are people who are producing them who will put on a very quality show at your venue. And it's a good way to get people in and to get people to laugh. And to sell food and beverage sales. I tell people all the time, a comedy show is just it's the dressing on a salad, but the salad, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the onions, that's food and beverage sales.
Yeah.
That's what makes the comedy shows tick.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I mean, I think it's a win-win for independent venues, especially if you have the right producer who's organized and focused and runs the show well. And Aaron,
comedy.
Yeah.
And Brittany Brave. Yep.
Thank you. You're one of the best producers in Miami.
Thank you.
Hands down. Every room of yours is fantastic, well organized, great comics, so many added elements, and you still manage to collect donations. That's awesome. That's how I like to produce, trying to bring everything in. It is a win-win, honestly, because for independent businesses, it's like, have us just do the work.
Yeah.
We'll do it. And you really don't have to do anything other than provide the space, maybe support us with a little promo. And that's really it. We're happy to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a show, as you see on the screen. We have the Norman's logo up there. We have a show tonight at Norman's Tavern. I'm co-producing that with Alain, Unscripted.
He's great.
It was Alain's room. We'd always talked about working together. He had somebody else do it last time, but now he wanted me to come in and kind of help and set it up. But Norman's is such a great venue. They have great breakfast, they have great lunch, they have great dinner. And we also got Few Spirits to, hook us up with some drink specials.
Few Spirits,
$5 cocktails, can't pass that, or $6 cocktails, $5 draft beers, $8 old fashions from some brand I can't pronounce.
$8 old fashions?
$8. Usually they're $14 in Miami.
Oh, I know. I've been drinking them like a 72-year-old man. Okay, that's been my drink of choice lately.
Orange in it too and everything? Or
everything,
no?
the bitters. I like it with rye, everything. So if you're coming to the show tonight and you want to buy me a drink, hey.
But Norman's is a once a month show.
Yeah.
But besides that, you're running from another room, and I kind of wanted to get into, eventually we'll get some graphics and some music, but venues of the week.
I'm loving it.
Venue of the week. I think the venue of the week this week is Villain Theater. And I'm going to say the venue of the week is Villain Theater because Villain Theater has survived the pandemic.
Yeah.
Peter and Janelle's do a great job. I hope I said her name right.
Janellis.
Janellis.
Yeah. And Anna as well.
And Anna.
Yes.
They've done a great job. And the reason why they are the venue of the week is because not only they're really transforming and really helping the stand-up comedy scene, but they're really known for their improv and their improv classes and the community they have, the very tight-knit community. And they honestly have the best theater in all of Miami that is even open right now, and doing everything possible from, wearing the mic, dressings on top and changing that to, making sure that everything is clean, contactless ordering. Yeah. They do a really great job. And you're on a show tonight.
I am.
With Johnny Asari.
Yes, good friend of mine.
The headliner.
Yes, New York comic, Miami comic. Yep.
I think that show's at 8 p.m. tonight.
Yes, yeah, and I'm going up on the earlier side so that I can jet over to this guy's show at Norman's right after. Right. Yeah.
But what do you have to say about Villain Theater? I know you love them, but why do you think they're venue of the week this week?
They're venue of the week in my heart every single week. I love you, Villain. I can't sing their praises enough. They hear it from me all the time. They are a comedy theater in every sense of the word. They're one of the best places, the best place for me. I always feel right at home doing comedy there. And I'm not knocking other venues. Like bar shows are great. We cut our teeth at bar shows. Random breweries, rooftops, all these other things help you grow as a comedian. But there is something really special about that space. And I think it's because it's improv, stand-up, sketch. They're all trained professionals. They run everything safely, professionally. It comes from a place of love. And it's the one place in Miami that I constantly feel like I can actually be myself as a comedian and try out material. And it's just always great. I mean, knock on wood, I don't think I've ever had a bad set there. Watch tonight. But I love them. And I taped my very first special with them. They've had my back since quarantine. They had my back when I first came back to Miami and gave me a ton of feature spots and guest spots. And then they offered me a headlining night, and I taped my first special there in November. And that's going to be dropping in the summer, July, I believe. Yeah. So I love Villain. They are a comedy hub. They're keeping comedy alive.
Yeah. And
gotta go. And
Kyle filmed his special there, Brain Humor.
Yes, that's right. Julie Baez taped something there too. A bunch of us did.
And they're actually doing, I think was a really good idea. After I talked to Peter, I was telling him how comedians need tape. And then after I talked to Peter outside of the club like a few weeks ago, all of a sudden now they have Tape Tuesdays.
They did. I just did their Tape Tuesdays. I was one of the 2 guest spots. I think that's incredible and integral to the growth of a comedian. That's great. It's a very manageable bringer. People get to do an open mic in front of a real audience, not depressed comics who are never going to laugh because we're all depressed at open mics. So like a necessary evil. And yeah, they get a great high quality tape that they can use, take notes. They're doing it. I llove you, Villain. They know how much I love them. I love them so much. Yeah.
Venue of the week. Amazing. So if you can't make
a key, probably not. Let's keep going.
No, that was terrible.
Who cares? The glass shattered.
Yeah, this is plexiglass. It can't shatter.
You're like, no, you were bad, but this is pretty durable.
So we have we have a very eventful weekend. It's Easter weekend.
Oh, right.
It is Easter weekend. Today's Good Friday,
Yep.
When was Ash Wednesday?
And that's back in February.
Oh, okay. It's not like a sequential.
Yeah, I'm not a good Catholic. I'm not a good.
Oh, it's Catholic. Christians, they don't do the Ash thing.
I think Christians do Ash Wednesday.
Well,
don't. Yeah. At Christians, live tweet us right now.
Yeah.
Do you?
If you know, Please leave it in the comments
Please
section.
yeah.
Let
Do
us
you
know.
get into a fight with a cigarette and lose and then call that the kickoff of Lent? Let us know.
That might be permanent after.
I think it is. Yeah.
If you had to do any kind of plans this weekend,
Mm.
what would your plans be hypothetically if you had to do any kind of plan? You know, we have great weather in Miami. Let's just try to plug some things. Like, I know I'm catching you on the spot.
No, I
You
have
plans this weekend. And it's not comedy. You're
not.
open to
Oh,
anything.
okay. Damn it, because
Give
that's
me
all
your
I
ideal
do.
weekend plans.
I would be out in the sun somewhere, shaking my whatever it is that I'm working with, and just being out in the sun, getting a tan. That's it. Being outdoors.
Yeah. What do you do in Miami if you're not doing comedy? Like in the evening time? Like, what do you think are the things that people are?
That's a finite amount of time because I'm literally always doing comedy. Sometimes I feel like I'm the most boring person alive because all I do. You feel like that too. All I do is work and comedy.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I love living down here because of the weather. So if it's nice out, I'll be in a bikini somewhere, whether someone wants me to be there or not. In a bikini or not. I do have a lot of friends down here from high school that I grew up with. I think we're doing a rooftop situation at some point. We have pool situation, something like that. And I've been meaning to check out. I don't know. I was meaning to check out a metaphysical shop. I'm a little bit of a.
What's that?
So I'm going to lose everybody here with this. I know. I'm into astrology and tarot and all of those kind of things.
Do you still do your tarot show?
I do. Improvised tarot, comedians bullshit, BS tarot readings. It's great. Very fun. I know everyone's like, obviously the white girl's talking about the stars, but whatever. It's called Five Sisters. I don't know if anybody, it seems like a very cool spiritual metaphysical shop.
Okay.
And my best friend and I were going to go be little gypsy. What do you want me to do? Catholicism failed me. I'm going to a metaphysical shop on Easter weekend. I'm probably going to eat meat today to make my Good Friday a great Friday. So that's my weekend. Okay. My weekend is getting my mom very mad at me because I did not follow any Good Friday stipulations, probably laying in the sun and getting drunk, and then going to a metaphysical shop to find crystals to heal me of my sadness. So there's my weekend.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
If I had an ideal weekend, it would be somewhat similar to that. Besides the astrology, I don't believe in the astrology stuff. Even though my sister was a witch when she was younger, and I was a Wiccan, so I used to practice witchcraft a little bit.
Okay.
So I even did a freeze spell on a teacher once. I took a hair, put it in a plastic bag, put it in the freezer, and we did a spell. My sister was very much into that. She's a professional artist now. It's like
yeah.
You know, and I've always thought, you know, an astrology thing is kind of weird. Imagine going to your doctor and you're like, what's wrong with me? He's like, well, let me read your tarot, you know, and he just. I
would be on board with that. I've been asking my gynecologist to do that for years. I'm like, am I pregnant? Read my cards.
I see cancer. And you're like, is it benign, malignant? He goes, no, just the
That's
cancer
your sign.
sign.
Right. I see you have a Taurus on top of your Aquarius, but it's very Sagittarius. Yeah, I get it. But we have to get into this for a second. If you don't mind me tossing it. You were a Wiccan and you conducted spells.
Yeah.
And now you do not believe in astrology. So your pendulum has swung, buddy.
Yeah. Well, that's because back then we wore baggy clothes, wore all black. You know, there was like a rock and roll thing back then. Like
I had a goth phase. You know, I had a goth phase.
That's when I wore my hoodie and my headphones. My parents couldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, it was just screaming music in my ears. and then it changed, you know, and I evolved. And, you know.
Is that your alter ego? Angsty Aaron.
Angsty Aaron. I'm very anxious.
Hashtag Angsty Aaron if you're tuning in right now.
But my sister still does tarot, and I love when she reads my tarot cards. You know, so
I gotta hang out. I love your sister.
And her husband or fiance also does tarot stuff, digital tarot things.
We love that.
Yeah, they're all into that.
I didn't know that. I love your sister. Very talented artist. Very talented.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna hit her up about tarot musings. And
yeah,
stuff
you
like
should,
that.
and she would love that stuff.
Yeah,
she loves it. But my ideal weekend, I'd be on a boat. I've never been on a boat in Miami. I've never been invited on a boat. You know, if you want to invite me on a boat, I'll go on your boat as long as you provide life jackets. I hate when I see people out there with no life jackets.
Yeah, that's a little scary. That's a little YOLO.
Yeah. So if you have a life jacket for me, I'll be the one nerd wearing my orange life jacket. And they'll be like, you know, the boat's not moving. I'm like, you know.
But we have to be careful. Yeah, that's so Miami too. A boat in Miami. They're like, we have Bacardi, we have Kettle One, we have all the drugs. Like, where's the life jackets? And they're like, oh, come on.
We don't have room for that.
We don't have room for that. Don't be such a suck. Yeah.
But I'd be on a boat if I could, and I would be at a park. I think we have beautiful weather this weekend.
We do.
You know, unbelievable weather this weekend.
Yeah.
And I think that people should be outside as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's going to get so hot.
It is. And it's a little breezy today, though, too. So use those sweaters, Miami, that you only get to use like twice a year. So
that's right.
Today's the day. You know, whip out that cardigan.
That's right. And also, I'd go to Heartland. Have you been to Heartland?
I have not.
Heartland is in the designed Arts and Innovation District. It's a like little Haiti area up there, like above Morningside and Mismo, which is like a little bit north.
Yeah.
Great outside venue. Always have live music.
That's awesome.
And they have great ice cream with like fried banana or something like that. I remember last time.
Oh my gosh. I love clogging my arteries for the live arts. Yes. I love
amazing.
that. That's great.
Tommy, how much time we got? 10 minutes.
Tight 10.
Let's close it out with what we have coming up. You have Show Fields coming up.
I do.
April 14th.
Yes.
How does that Show Fields thing work? I know Show Fields is like the most interesting gallery or the most interesting space. What is there
in the world?
In the world, they have a
Dare I
slide.
say
I
it?
went down the slide, which was great. They have art. My sister had art in there for a little bit.
Yes.
Her husband has art in there, actually in the green room. You know that maze thing you saw back there?
I do, yeah.
That was his work.
That's super cool. Okay.
How did the Show Fields thing work out? And, you know, what do you expect from that show as it continues to grow as a monthly show? Like, what do you want to see from it? Like, prime location on Lincoln Road. Do you want to see locals there? Do you want to see tourists there? You don't care as long as people pay? Like, what do you want from the Show Fields show?
Aaron Shapiro asking the pressing questions that Brittany Brave hasn't quite thought of yet. No, I'm just kidding. I worked for Show Fields. It is the most interesting store in the world, or so it claims to be. I think it delivers. In New York, their flagship store is in New York. I was an actor, and then I led their experiential side with Tam Grin, who's the real lead of the experiential. I led like the actors. And then they opened up a Miami location. I think it's even better suited for Miami since it's so art heavy and aesthetics heavy. And yeah, it's on Lincoln Road. It's a really interactive store that tries to give digital brands temporary physical pop-up space so they don't break the bank on rent, but they get to have an in-house marketing team bring their brand to life. It's great. Really cool brands, really cool vibe. And yeah, I kept in touch with their team and they wanted me to bring comedy into their event space. So I would like for this room to be, I think the arts do really well when they piggyback off of each other.
Right.
I used to work in the music business, and music on its own, when the sales started to decline for physical sales or people were streaming or ripping music, yada, yada, we figured out quickly that if you put music in other avenues, that's where it really flourishes, right? Like commercials, sports, fashion.
Video games.
So video games, anything, correct. I think it's like that with comedy too. So just trying to create a really unique space where comedians can actually be comfortable and be heard and pull in all these other it's a really cool, gorgeous room. I don't care who's there, locals, tourists, whatever. I just want people who want comedy. Let's say that. Not a night out, who want to hear comedy and have a full
That's
experience.
a good question.
Yeah.
Who is someone that wants comedy? Like who is the ideal person who wants comedy? Like, you know, what do you think that person is? Like, obviously, you know, I hear a lot from people when I'm producing shows. They go, I didn't even know Miami had comedy. And I'm always like, yes, we do. And they're like, we love comedy. And I'm always like, what do you love about the comedy? What is it about comedy? But you definitely have to be somebody who enjoys hearing, you know, over the top thoughts or, you know, poignant ideas that are kind of mixed and twisted.
Or things that you might not be fully comfortable with or agree with.
Right.
Right. For a comedy show. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. So who do you think is the ideal? I've had, you know, at the Mighty, we had at least 3 couples that just came back every time. And they're like, we love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. And I'm always like, what do you love about Albie Dominguez? Like, you know, what is it that you love about, you know, what do you love about?
Funny. He's great.
I'm like, well, what do you love about, you know, Carlos Hernandez? What do you love about?
They're so funny, those boys. Yeah.
So it's always like, what do you love? Like, what is it that you love? Because everyone.
Oh, they're funny together too. I watched their
has a
videos
different
together.
theme, you know. Everyone has a different style. Like our shows, if it's a showcase show.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. What is it do you think people are looking for when they come to a comedy show?
I think it's agreed on that Miami hasn't always been a traditional comedy scene. I think that's kind of what you're getting at, right? That a lot of it hasn't had a massive scene. It has a huge nightlife scene, art scene, all this kind of stuff, outdoor scene.
DJs, music. That's what we're known for.
100% Ultra Music Festival that I did many drugs at and then had a panic attack in high school. But that's a story for next week. I think that Miami is everyone's here. It's open. It's warm. The economy's thriving. I think this is a really ripe opportunity to teach people how to be comedy goers and how to go out to a comedy show for comedy, but not necessarily for a night out. Right. And by the way, we like had that in New York too. Like I had a lot of people, and New York is a mecca for comedy, that would be like, I've never been to a comedy show. And for some reason, it's the art form that people are like, I'll go to a concert. Oh, I went to an open mic or whatever. But comedy there's a lot of people that are like, I'm just afraid it's going to be bad, or I'm going to be picked on, or it's like all this kind of stuff. So I think that this is a really empowering time for Miami to make the people here comedy fans. Not going out. It's cool to go out for a night out. It's cool to go out for a drink. All of that's awesome. Obviously, we want you to have fun, but I think it's a really good time to curate the people of Miami to like respect comedy. Yeah. There's so much of it popping up everywhere. Our comedians are growing. People from New York, LA, and everywhere are moving here, visiting here.
But how do they respect comedy? That's my question. How do they respect comedy, right? So
yeah,
this is the one thing that is my pet peeve that I do not like when we have a show, right? The comics going shh and telling audience members to be quiet at a bar show. I'm always like, remember, guys, this is a bar first and a pop-up comedy show second, and a lot of people don't know the etiquette of being quiet and listening, and you have to, tell your jokes over chatter and tell your jokes over, people talking. And if you can get them to be silent, then you got something. But what do you think that, how do you tell someone to come to a comedy show? To listen, heckling is, you don't want to heckle too much. But I don't mind it. I don't mind a little heckling. I think a little heckling is good.
It can be fun.
It can be fun.
Yeah. And I mean, they're paying attention, a heckler, at least you elicited a reaction. That's interesting that you say that. So to your point, yeah, I think that there's differences between a dedicated space for comedy and then somewhere where comedy happens to be.
Yeah.
So I think like my goal with Showfields and Laughs on Lincoln is a dedicated space for comedy.
Right.
That store shuts down. Nothing else is happening. It's ticketed. You're here for that. I agree with you. At a bar show, they could be there for a drink and they get the comedy sprung on them. You can't really tell them to shut up. They maybe don't want to really, if they don't like it, they can leave kind of thing,
Right.
So I think it's about, we need to have more rooms that are there exclusively for comedy, going out of the way to find different kinds of venues, communicating that comedy is going to be there, raising the ticket price, stuff like that helps people. And there's always going to be people who don't respect what it is that we do.
Right.
They see us up there with the microphone. They think, I could do that. I could stand and talk. I made people laugh before. Like, it's every guy I've ever gone on a date with, He's like, hey, I told a joke in my corporate happy hour and it fucking crushed, And I'm like, okay, take the mic, buddy. Yeah. So I think it's getting there. I think more rooms that are dedicated for comedy, a good host that whips the audience into shape, all that kind of stuff.
Who's your ideal consumer that comes to a show? What are you looking for in your ideal person who comes to a show?
Single. Male. Great credit score. No, but
that's hard in Miami, the credit score thing.
It's hard in New York too.
But ideal person.
Yeah, I preheat my oven. It's the same number as my credit score. Yeah. Again, a convo for another time. Someone who's always been a comedy fan, consumes comedy. I would love if it's maybe not their first comedy show. They're a little bit seasoned, at least for my Showfields room, right? And yeah, they're not looking for a night out to get like sloshed and whatever you do when you leave. That's your business. But somebody who really has an interest in comedy and not just a night out. Yeah. That's what I would say. And again, single, good relationship with his mother, decent credit score, huge assets. You know what I mean? Things like that. My
ideal is couples. I love when couples come to comedy shows because, you know, as a couple, when you go out and you've been together for 2 or 3 years, you really don't want to talk to each other.
Right.
You know, you want to go out and you want the entertainment to happen around you.
Sure.
And then you have something to talk about when you leave.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't, you know, while you're there.
It's a great first date.
It's
a great first date.
You think so? It's a dangerous first date.
It's fun for us when it's a first date. It's very fun for me. But anyways, yeah.
But ideal couple would be a couple that are there to have a few drinks, have a dinner, you know, who want to support local business, who want to support local entertainment.
Yeah.
And like hearing, you know, like to laugh and like to take things nonchalant and not so serious and to have a good time.
I agree.
You know?
And friend groups are fun too, but for the love of all things holy, girls, when you go out in a friend group to a comedy show, get the catching up done before or after the show. Okay, please. I don't want to be doing my set in here. No way, did he text back? I can't believe it. Like, that's great. Save it for after the show. That's
do you
all.
like people recording your sets? Or
No.
do you want people to have their phones away from them the whole time? No phone out? Or do you okay with them taking a picture or photo or video?
A photo is fine. Video, do not do that. PSA. Do not do that because
Why?
a lot of us are working on specials, working on material. Things are not honed yet. The most cringeworthy thing is when it's a brand new joke that I know is not killing yet and it ends up on someone's Instagram story. And I'm like, damn it. That's not even a good moment of me on stage, you know? So just be Like a concert too. People are always, you know, I'm like, my God, just be present.
Yeah.
Just be there in that second. Sometimes I want to like take their phones away during a show. Yeah.
Absolutely. Time. What are we doing on time?
You're done.
We're done. All right,
We're
we're going to
done.
wrap it up. So the venue of the week was Villain Theater. Make sure you guys check out Villain Theater. Brittany's going to be there tonight, but honestly, they have shows pretty much 7 days a week, I believe. And they have a new improv class that's starting in April.
Tons
and
of
they
stuff.
also do stand-up comedy classes. And they do a lot for the community as well. And if you want to come to a Miami stand-up comedy show, just go to MiamiStandUpComedy.com. Go to Miami Stand-Up Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And we will love to have you there. And don't forget, every single show that we do something with the community. It's going to be either raising donations for the homeless, or maybe we do something with food banks. But for right now, it's the homeless, because when I call them and I talk to them, so many of them are having an increase in calls of people who are like, I need help. You know, my industry is closed. I can't work. I can't, you know, I don't have money. You know, I'm in trouble.
Times are tough.
So that's why I think, you know, the best way to get people into your comedy shows is to invest in the community. And if you invest in the community, people will invest in you. I think it's a quid pro quo.
See, comedy's not that evil, everybody.
No, not that evil. I'm Aaron the Speaker. Thank you guys for checking out the Miami Community Newspaper. This is Brittany Brave. You can find us tonight at Norman's on the beach at 8 p.m. We'll have Jules playing music. Then we'll have the comedy show at 9. Brittany will be there after her show at Villain Theater, which starts at 8 p.m.
Come hang.
Until next time, we got to thank Tommy, our producer. We got to thank Grant Minahan for making it possible. And we'll see you guys in a week or so. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know how the show is doing and anything you want to talk about. And if you're in a venue and you want some comedy, contact us and we'll produce a show there. Until next time, stay safe. Happy Easter, happy holidays, happy Passover, and we'll see you.